Okay. We've been looking at gone. We've been looking at analytical views, right? Now we'll have to discuss on input parameters and variables. System is stuck. Yeah. So we're trying to understand about input parameters and variables. Very, very important concept. Input parameters and variables. Both look somewhat similar, but they're actually different here. Yeah? So any interview or for you, it's very, very important to understand the difference. Input parameters and variables. First thing, when you deal with input parameters, we use input parameters. When you want to parameterize the view, we use it to parameterize the views. Now, when I say parameterize the views, let's say I have the view definition, which is performing some calculations or what restrictions, filtering or whatever it is. Now, I would like to pass in some value. Based on the value what I input, the definition of the view should be dynamic or should be changed up. So by using input parameter, we control the definition of the view. So definition of the view can be made dynamic by using input parameters. On the other hand, when you use variables, these are only used for filtering. Variables are only used for filtering the data. So even though you have variable or not, the definition of the view will be as it is. It executes the entire view, and before projecting the data for the business user, it will apply that filtering. So filtering is applied after the entire view is being calculated in case of variable. First it executes the complete view, and before projecting the result of the view, it would apply the filtering based on the value what we pass into the variables. We should understand this. This is very important. When you look at input parameter, based on the value what you pass in as an input parameter, the view is parameterized. The view gets executed based on that value. But when you look at variable, irrespective of what value you pass into the variable, the definition of the view is same. It executes a complete view. And before projecting the output, it does apply those filtering from the variables and gives it. I understand the difference? Yeah. Any doubt here, boss? Okay. Now let's focus on input parameters first. Okay.
One question, sir.
Yeah.
So definition means what exactly means? I mean, does it change the analytical view definition itself?
Yeah, logic itself. Logic. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Say for example, you had a logic of calculate columns which says quantity into price as 10. Instead of fixing as 10, I would like to make this dynamic, say in IP price, I would say. So if I pass in the price as 10, it calculates the value with 10. If I pass in the value for the parameter price as 12, it calculates the value with 12. So the logic of your view can be made dynamic by using these input parameters. Yeah. You got this now? Okay, let's take this. Let me just create a copy. IP1. Now look at the requirement. It's a simple one. If you see this view, it actually shows. If I try to see the data, I get to see data for all the regions. So I get to see data for 4 regions. Suppose. Let's say I would like to see data only for EMEA region. Just try to understand the variable and parameter now. So what I'll do, first I'll show with variable now. You can just select the column called region and you can click on this button here, create variable, either ways, or you can go to this tab parameters or variables and create a variable here. So create new variable, var_region. Well, don't worry on that value. I want this to be, this is value discussions. Now I'm saying I want this variable, sorry, not country, sorry. I want this variable value to be applied on, this variable should apply filter to regions, okay, and activate. Now when I say try to see the content, it actually executes a complete view. It actually executes a view for all the regions, Asia Pacific, Europe, all this. But for what are the region I select, it will show me the output for. It actually executes the complete logic of joining all those for all the regions. But while showing, it will just show me only for this region alone. You getting this? See, internally it is actually executing the view for all the regions. Before outputting the result or projecting the result, it is filtering on the variable value of region here. This is variable here. Other way, I'll use an input parameter. Look at this, what I'll do. I'll create drop down, create say input parameter, IP_region, just say column, something. I'll come to that value help. Okay, I created input parameter. I'll go to data foundation. See, in data foundation, we can do filtering, right? I'll select the region and say right click, say apply filter equal to not fixed value. I'll go with an input parameter and use this. So now what is happening here? When you execute the view, you get a selection screen of the parameter, you give it as EMEA, then this table will get filtered only for EMEA records and the join is performed only for those records and the view executes only for those records of the region EMEA and then gives you output. Now if you pass in as EMEA, so what happens? This table will get, this parameter will get into this value will get into this parameter and this table gets filtered only for the region EMEA and reads only those records and the join is performed only on those records and it gives you output only for region. Now do you understand the difference now here? See, ultimately you see output same when it comes to filtering. But do you see performance now, which as a point of performance, which one do you prefer now? Input parameter or variable? When you're able
input
to
parameter
scenario with input parameter and variable, I would prefer input parameter because input parameter will reduce the amount of records on which my join has to get executed in this case. If I look at variable, even though I give it as EMEA, the view would execute join on all the regions, records of all the regions. But while projecting to the user, it does apply the filter on the region EMEA and then displays it. But whereas input parameter, it actually applies filter while reading from the table, reduces the records only for that region, and then the join is performed only for those region records, and then gets the output. Now, which one would be giving you more performance? Hello?
Input parameters.
So
Input parameters.
input parameter. So now you understand the exact difference between input parameter and variable now? Yeah? Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
we did the IP, right?
Yeah.
IP in the modeling itself, right?
Yeah.
So in that, is it mandatory to, give the entries for IP? I mean, at the prompt screen,
I didn't understand.
do you have any optional? I mean, is there any possibility to not to filter the data?
Not to why then when you don't want to filter, then why do you want to use input parameter?
No. Sometimes we have the particular parameter is optional or single value, multiple value,
Yeah.
data type.
Yeah. You see, you don't want to fill anything. You just run this out. You see what you'll get all the. This is what you're expecting.
Yeah, I want this output even though if you have input parameter.
Yeah, I have no.
I mean,
See,
you use it.
I am firing this. I get an input parameter, but
Okay.
I'm not filled anything.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Okay.
good for all the regions.
Okay.
This is what your question was, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Bus, mute yourself. Okay. Hello. Now let's.
Can you explain?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between input and variable parameters?
See, simple. When you say irrespective of, if you use variable, okay, irrespective of what region you give to this variable, the amount of records or the logic of the view is all same. It executes the same logic. But while projecting the result to the user, the filter is applied based on the variable value and then projected. అంటే నువ్వు రీజన్ మీద వేరియబుల్ ఉందనుకో, నువ్వు ఏ రీజన్ ఇచ్చినా అల్టిమేట్గా వ్యూ మొత్తం అన్ని రికార్డ్స్ మీద లాజిక్ అంతా సేమ్ చేసి అవుట్పుట్ చూపించేటప్పుడు మాత్రం ఆ రీజన్కి ఫిల్టర్ చేసి చూపిస్తుంది. But other than hand, if you look at input parameter, if I apply a filter in the data foundation with input parameter, for whatever the value you pass into the input parameter, it would apply the filter only on those values and execute the logic only for those records and then give you output. Input parameter లో నువ్వు ఏదైతే వాల్యూ ఇస్తావో ఆ వాల్యూ తీసుకుని ఫస్ట్ టేబుల్లో డేటా రీడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఫిల్టర్ అప్లై చేసి ఆ రికార్డ్స్ మీద జాయిన్ చేసి ఆ రికార్డ్స్ని అవుట్పుట్ ఇస్తుంది. అంటే ఇన్పుట్ పారామీటర్ ద్వారా వాడినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్లో టేబుల్ దగ్గర రీడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు రికార్డ్స్ తగ్గించేస్తున్నావు కాబట్టి ఆబ్వియస్గా వ్యూ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ బాగుంటుంది. అదే వేరియబుల్ అయితే రికార్డ్స్ ఏం తగ్గడంలో అన్ని రికార్డ్స్కి వ్యూ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసి చూపించడం ఫిల్టర్ చేస్తున్నావు కాబట్టి. Did it make sense now? Yes? Yeah?
Yes, got sir. Retrieval data.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Sir, for example, can we select three reasons, sir?
I'll come to the concept of multiple values, ranges. I'll get into details now. First, did you understand the difference between input parameter and variable? Yes? Yeah?
Sir, is
So,
it that the
most-
input variables are applied at the data foundation level and
Not exactly.
variables
Don't say like, because I can use input parameter in multiple ways. Just take it like this. Input parameters can make the view definition dynamic, whether it is could be filtering in data foundation, whether it could be calculated measures or calculated columns, anything, wherever it is, I can use this input parameter to make my view definition dynamic. It could be filtering, it could be calculations, anything. Okay.
Okay.
But variables can only be used for filtering only. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the other question?
So in that case, always you can use input parameters right, instead of variable parameter, because this is where we are using variable parameters, performance is impacted. So if there any case we need to go for variable parameter, that is based on business requirement like that.
Now look at this. I'll tell you this. This is my requirement. So this is my view, okay? This is a view and I would like to apply filtering on region bus. What will you do? Let's say I go to, I create an input parameter, okay? I go to data foundation. Now, do I see any region column here to apply? Because you can apply filtering only in data foundation, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So do I see a table called partner to apply filtering on the region here? Yeah?
No, sir.
No, right? So the region is coming actually from the attribute view. So in the star join, I cannot apply filter bus, only in the data foundation. So now in this kind of case, variable is the only option. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But we can still handle this. I'll tell you how can we handle it. Okay. So now you should.
Sir, sorry to interrupt again. Sorry to interrupt again. Sir, even I was saying the same thing that input parameters can be applied only at the data foundation level. So that was again incorrect.
No. I'm not. I'm so not. Say for example, I have this input parameter, right? I can also use this input parameter in, let's say I'm creating some calculate column. Can I use this input parameter into calculations?
Yes. Okay.
Here also anywhere. Basically what I'm saying is you're basically defining your view and you want the view definition to be dynamic. I can use input parameter. Had it be calculate column, calculate measure, or it could be filtering, anything. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now you should understand the difference. Now let's get into details of this input parameter. Okay. Now this is a, see, you can create input parameter either in this tab here or anywhere, like say in every block I see there's a folder like input parameter. I can say new, I can create it from here, no difference. Okay. In data form, wherever you find, you can always create this. I can select this, right click, input, anywhere you can do. Okay. There's no difference. Nothing like global or local. Either you create input parameter anywhere. Okay. In anywhere you create, it's all same. Yeah. Okay. So I have a requirement like this now.
Sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Um, Sir, can we assume like input parameter as a query level filter and variable as a report level filter, something like that?
No. You should understand where input parameter as a parameter to your view. See, you have seen stored procedures, yes?
Yes, sir.
In the stored procedures, do we have input parameter concept in, out, in parameter? Yes.
Yeah.
So what are the value passed into input parameter? It executes based on that parameter value.
Alright.
That is like input parameter. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And the variables are just like filters after the on the column view or on the result of the procedure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's say I have requirement. I would like to calculate sales tax. Basically, sales tax should be this here. Say gross amount and some 12.36%. Say I'll say new calculate column. Sales tax. And I want that to be decimal 10 and 2, and I want this to be a measure, so that will be what, say gross amount into 12.36. So I'll find and then say okay, and I get the new output column into this column. Sales taxes, it's activate. Get to see raw date. You see the sales tax, gross amount. Oh, so it is 12 into 12. So 12.36 is my percentage. So I'll say, what will I do to 12.36 divided by 100? Because I want 12.36%. So when my gross amount is 285, so 12% is something around 35. When it's 117, it's something around 14.56 is my tax percentage. Okay. This is my sales tax. But let's say now I'm calculating my sales tax percentage 12.36. But sometimes I might have to go with 11.36. Sometimes I might have to go with 13.36. Sometimes I will have to go with 12.36. There are three fixed values. I should choose any one from there. So to make that calculation dynamic, what I'll do, I'll just create one input parameter which can take in my sales tax percentage. So I'll say sales tax percent. Okay. I'll say sales tax percentage. Now, what if I say direct? Okay. If I say parameter type is direct, you will just get a text box where you have to enter the fix. Let me show you. Now, direct. Okay. And is it? I can make this as mandatory. Okay. And I'll say data type would be it's a decimal. The value what you can enter should be a decimal, 10 of 2 something. This is my. Let's see what happens when you say parameter type as dynamic direct. Okay. And I'll go to my calculation. Instead of using 12.36 here, I'll use the input parameter value. So when I run through, I get a parameter here. See, I said parameter type is direct, right? That's why you don't see anything in the value help. There's no value help here at all. No value help to be fetched. It is straight away a text box where you have to enter the value manually like this. You have to there's some fixed value you have to enter. Okay, get this one. But this is not what I wanted. I want my user to have a list of values which are fixed. So what I'll do, I'll select this input. So when you say direct, there's no list of values. You have to manually enter the value in the text box. So I'll drop down. I'll change this. I just want to list out the list of values static list. Select static list. And the data type would be decimal, and then 10 of 2 is my length. You can start entering the list of values what you want. 11.36. 12.36. 13.36. 13.36. That's enough. Okay. Say OK. Now since I specified a static list, the parameter would behave in a different way. Now when I get in, if I say F4, I get to see static list of values. From here I choose 12.36. You get the result. It is 35. If I go with 13.36, you should see a slight increase in the percent. Get us 38. So this is how you can make your input parameter with the static list also. Yeah. Okay. Next, I would like to have a next requirement. So I would like to use input parameter and apply a filter on this region. Okay. So I want an input parameter which will ask me for a region, and then I need to have some value help where I can choose the values from a column. Okay. Look at this. What I'll say: create input parameter, IP underscore region. So what you want is for this parameter I need to have a value help where user can select the region, and the value help should be, when I say value help should be the values of a column from a same view or different view. I'll say drop down. So I'll say I want the value help to be possible values of a column. Now it will ask me what is value, which view you want to use it for value help. By default, it takes current view. For now I'm just going with that. In this current view, which column values region. So I'll have an input parameter which will have a text box, and the value help of this, since my parameter type is column, I can project a value help with the view, by default current view, and current view from which column, region. So it will basically show me all the values, possible values of this region column, and where you can be selecting. So if I say, sorry, I did not use it. So I select this sales tax percentage, which is fixed ones, and the region. See, I get to see these 4 values. Where are these 4 values coming from? From the value help view. I've specified the current view as the value help view, and from the current view, its region is a column. So it's like, so when I click on this node to see the value help, it executes a query, say select region from this view and display the list of values for me, and I can be choosing any value from here. Okay, and now it actually shows data only for EMEA region, and then you get to see. Okay, boss. Did you understand this parameter of type column? Now to understand more on the value help, let's say I have a requirement like this. See, I have, in this we have not used any attribute view at all. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to use this way. So I have an attribute view Z80BP001. I hope there is no filter, nothing. It is showing me what regions, all 4 regions. Okay, so my requirement is this. Okay, I want this input parameter. When I say show me the value helps, it has to read the region values from this view. Which one? Z80BP001. From that, it has to read this column values region. I can change it. Say change. Value help, instead of default current view, I can say change Z80_BP_001 of my 9 cubics. Okay, select this, and the preferred column should be region. So what happens? For this input parameter, it shows me possible column values because of the parameter type is column, and the value help would be, it reads this view, and from this view it projects me the distinct columns values of this region. I think you should understand the value help view now. When I fire this, it is going to execute a view and display me the values of that column region here. Okay, I select Asia Pacific, and so you should understand the value help view now. Yeah. Okay, boss. Yeah. So it shows only Asia Pacific now this time. Yeah. Okay, that is like using value help. There's one more option. Simple, I know, but just to show you a next one. Here it may not make sense, but I have this schema and I have a table. Let's take it as business, no, addresses table. In this case, for address ID 100 so and so 1, what is region was EMEA, right? And let's take it as 2, 100,002. For this region is EMEA. Now I have a requirement like this. I don't want this parameter to be filled in by user. I want it to be derived automatically. I'll say derived from table. It's like I want to fill this input parameter by reading data from a table. Now let's say from which table do you want to read? I'll say SAP HANA.demo. From addresses table, and return column. Return column is what is that you want to read. I want to read the region column from this table. So select region from this table where apply filter on address ID. filter value, I'm just going to give it as 1002. So it will be America, right? Okay. Okay. Activate. In this case, this parameter will be, see, it does not ask you, that will be automatically filled by reading from the table. So the table will return me what? For 1002, it was America, so you get to see data for America. That is like derived from table. You understand this? Yeah? Okay. But if you see the parameter, I think we should understand the parameter types as now direct. Direct means you just have a text box. Manually, my user is forced to type in the value. Static list, you'll have a fixed set of list of values which can be selected. User can be selected from the list. When I say column, you would like to project a value here by reading from data from a view and project a list of values of a column, and where user can select any one from there. And when you want input parameter to be derived from the value by reading data from a table, then I can say derived from table. Okay. And if you want, you can make this parameter dynamic, and let's say I will go direct or something dynamic. There's something a semantic type name. Suppose you are taking some date field. You want an input parameter which can take date. So I can say date. I can say date type as date, and then okay. But normally, if it is BW, normal date will be something like cal day. So you have already defined it as time characteristic. But here I would like explicitly define the properties, saying it's going to be more like a date field. So it's like defining that this column is more like a time-based attribute. Okay. So like this, you can use semantic type property, or you want to provide some default value. I can just give it something 31 something 12 or 999. You can just give some default fixed value. But if you want the default value to be made a little bit dynamic on expression, I can say use expression here. And you can build some form, but not very complex things, but simple form. Date function, I can say now, sorry. I can say now, okay. So which will give me default current date. So when I would say the default runs with the current date. Yeah. I think it is not shown, not used it. ఇక్కడ వాడలేదు, but something will not see any result, but I want you to see that parameter. See, you get some default value by default with an expression of day now. Like this, you can make some not very complex, but something some you can use some expression, provide some default dynamic values. And the next question was raised was, can I have multiple? See, normally if you look at variables in BEX, we can have or be prompt in PO. We can take it single value, multiple single values, range, all this, right? But for input parameter, you don't have those options. You don't have these options like where you can say for example, column. You can only select one value. Always it is a single value parameter. But say I have a requirement like this, I would like to provide option for multiple or range. For example, range. There's now say I want to go with the range of. I just want to filter this address IDs from 1001 something some number range, but I don't have an option for range. So this is how we can do. We can only handle it. Input parameter IP from read the column values from address. Okay, from current view, let it read the address IDs. I think address ID is not selected. So this is like address ID from. I'll create one more input parameter, IP_2. So I'll go here. I'll say address ID, apply filter. Operator is between. From would be, I'll use from input parameter. For to, I'll use to input parameter. Invalid table name, could not find table in SAP. Could not find table or view. Invalid table name. But okay, I can just use some 100,789,1. Okay, 6789. So I've given it something like address ID between 1 and 10. So now you get to see the company names only between 11. I think the address ID what I entered might be wrong. I think it's correct.
So you haven't selected any address ID in the analytical view, right? But how will the filter apply?
No problem. See, in the select statement, you're not reading the column. You can still apply where clause on it, right? It'll work, but only thing is there's some number values I've given something wrong. The value help is not working. It is not recognizing that 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's something wrong. The numbers is 100, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Correct, right? But okay, that's okay. There's some numbering wrong. But you can apply if you want to use parameters range. You have to go with two parameters like this and use a between operator. And if you want,
Sir, when we create,
one second. Let me finish this. If you want to go with multiple list of values, I say list of values here and choose parameters. Select this as well as this. So like this, if you select multiple parameters, it goes with separate with comma here. Parameter. So value equal to this or this. Like this, you can go with multiple values. But there's nothing like single input parameter cannot go with like multiple values or range. So you have to handle that range or multiple values with multiple input parameters like this. Yeah. And one more point is when you look at restricted column, see in case of analytical view, I cannot make restricted column dynamic here. See if I go with grass amount and say where my something like say something equal to, and I'll not be able to use input parameter here. So in case of analytical view, we cannot make the restricted column dynamic. But same thing if you see in calculation view, don't have, same thing if you see it in calculation view, you have the flexibility of making the restricted column also dynamic. Yeah. Let me create some dummy. I just want to show you the some parameter. You go to the restricted column here. Where category is equal to, and then go with the input parameter and make use of this. So like this, you can make your restricted column dynamic in case of calculation view by using input parameter, but in analytical view, we don't have that flexibility yet. Restricted column cannot be made dynamic. So this is your input parameters. Yeah. Now, the doubts?
Sir, I was asking, as you said, when this in input parameters, we cannot pass a range. So you configured a from input parameter and to input parameter. But when we see into the definition of the input parameter, there itself we have field for from and to.
Nah, you don't have like that.
Then
What is it here?
okay, could you just please create a just open any of the input parameter?
Yeah. Yeah, you want to define what?
No, the earlier one itself, the one which you have configured. Say for example, IP from or IP2.
Okay.
No, just execute it where we pass the values.
You're saying this two here.
Here itself we have.
It will show the two, but that will not work.
Awesome.
It will not work. Okay. Because for variables, they were trying to use the same screen for variables and parameters, so they've given, but this will not work.
Okay, it will work in variables.
Only for variables. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, if I keep cursor here.
Sir, if I want to go for range,
To enter the value. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to go with range, create two input parameters. One use one. See, if you want to go with range, the only option is create two input parameters. Use parameter one in the from and use parameter two in the to.
okay, then it will be range.
That's all, no?
Okay.
Any other doubts, boss?
Sir, when we select is mandatory field, sir.
Yeah. Basically, when you select is mandatory, it is mandatory for you to enter the value. Without entering value, it does not allow you. You will see a star. It doesn't allow you to go through. See, you get a star. It doesn't allow you to go through without entering a value. Yeah. Okay. That is mandatory, boss. Yeah.
Sir, in case of derived from table option, is it mandatory to maintain where class, sir?
Yeah, because if you don't put a where class, it will return multiple values, right? Input parameter cannot take multiple set of values, right? It can take single value. If I say create input parameter and say something, say derived from table, you say this is the table is if I say a region from this, apply filter on the region. See, even if you don't specify where class, it is just reading only first record of the table. It's like by default it says select top one record from the table. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, one more question. Let's say if the input parameter what you passed, you don't have a data for that. Okay, but in BW, let's say we do a select and we check whether the data is returned or not, whether there is the data in the internal table. So in this case, let's say there is no data for that select, will it bring all the data from the table?
In case of derived from table, you're saying?
In BW, what we do is we do a select statement and we do sub RC whether there is a data or not, and then we continue. So in this IP now, let's say if I pass the selection parameter, which we don't have a transaction data for that value, but the select, if it doesn't bring any records, or will it bring all the data? Like if it doesn't bring any record, how does it work?
It does not bring anything in that case. For example, there's two things in your questions. You say, let's say I have an input parameter which is just a column. If I go with region here, okay, you're allowed to choose any one value from that column. Okay.
Which is existed.
Or if I just say, I give this cubics, there's no value in cubics at all. But see, it will not get any records for cubics, right?
Okay, okay.
Obviously, your data would be blank. This is what, then in this case, do you want to do something? You want to say, you want to throw a mirror saying this is not a valid one. That's what you want to say.
No, that's fine. That should be okay. Yeah.
If you want to throw any error message, how can deal, sir? If user is not entering exact region or date, so can you throw error message as you said like now?
So like in BW, you want to simulate something called I step 2. You want to take the parameter value, then do some logic. Yeah. I'll come to that point. You can do that with scripting. I'll come to that point. Okay. How we do is we have this view, right? With this parameter, we create a covering another view which is covering this, which will have input parameter 1, and take the value. That will be more of scripting based view. Read the parameter, check the parameter values, then raise in a try catch block or call this view.
Okay.
We'll see that. I'll show you that. I'll show you.
Okay.
Now clear with parameters, right?
Sir, the visibility of these views or IP is restricted to only those analytical views, right?
Yeah.
Specific analytical views?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is no reusability of this IP in other
No, again you have to
analytical views, right? So, okay, so
yeah, if there's no doubt, we'll go ahead, okay? We'll proceed further. Okay, fine, thanks. So you've seen this input parameters, right? Now I would like to show you a concept called mapping of input parameters. You remember that is what I kept pending in the attribute views. Mapping of input parameters with attribute views. Much concept. Good concept. Now look at this record. Now answer me this question. So can we use attribute views in analytical views first?
Yes, you can use.
yes.
Okay. Now the question is, in how many ways can I use attribute view into analytical view? Ways in the sense, in where do you think are the options where I can use the attribute view in the definition of analytical view? When I'm creating this analytical view, I can create attribute views, right? So where all can we use attribute views?
Star schema.
Star join, yeah, okay. Can you use this star join?
Hierarchies.
Hierarchies. No, hierarchies is what? When I use an attribute view in the star join, I get the hierarchies of that attribute view into my analytical view. నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే మై క్వశ్చన్ ఇస్ మొత్తం అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ డిఫైన్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఎక్కడెక్కడ attribute views వాడతారు? ప్లీజ్ బస్ మ్యూట్.
In data definition.
No, in data definition, can you use attribute views? No, right?
Yes.
When I'm creating my attribute view, in all what places can you define that? That's my question. Sorry, my laptop has got no charge. Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
So I think we can use the column view of attribute view in definition, data definition of.
No, in analytical view, you're not allowed to use column views. In calculation view, you can do that, but in analytical view, only two things. If it is data foundation, column store tables. If it is star join, attribute views. That's all. No column views, nothing. Don't get confused. Only column store tables into data foundation, attribute views into star join. That's all. Now my question was where are the different places where I can leverage attribute views into analytical views? ఎక్కడెక్కడ attribute views వాడొచ్చు మనము?
For master data reference.
ఇంకా? So can I use this? Look at this. As a value help for input parameters.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can use this attribute view while defining the star join as a dimension. I can also use this attribute view as a value help for my input parameters also, right? Okay. So now let's take case 1. Used in, say I have attribute view used in star join. But please mute yourself. There's some disturbance from someone, please. If I mute, you'll not be able to ask any questions. Please mute yourself. Yeah. Okay. Now, first I would like to deal with the case where attribute view used in star join. Let's say I have a requirement like this. Let me just create an attribute view, which is copy of this first. But you lost me doubt again. Please focus on this. Okay. Very, very important. Bunch concept. But this will improve your performance. I'm just activating this. I think I want to see. I think it's all fine. Activate. So I have this attribute view, which is just giving me all the data. Lots of regions, lot of countries, and all this stuff is fine. Yeah. So I would like to create an analytical view. One second. Okay, I'm just creating analytical view now. What I'm trying to do is, instead of using this ATBP, I am trying to use my own attribute view, what we just created. So now I'm using this attribute view into my star join as a dimension. I'll take this part ID and connect this. So you understand this? Now this is an I've got an attribute view where I'm using that attribute view as a dimension in my star join. Till here it is clear, right? No difference, no effect. Yeah. Okay. Now what I want to do is I would like to filter data on a region bus. I would like to filter data on region. Okay. Now look at this. Focus bus. consider it very, very important and confusing also. I'll create input parameter IP underscore region. Okay. Uh, let's say direct. I know the values. Varchar. Let's. Okay. I create my input parameters. Now, to take the effect of this input parameter, should I apply filtering bus? So filtering can be applied only in the data foundation. So I'll go to data foundation. I'll try to apply for filtering on region, but I don't see any field called region because I don't have the table partner ID, partners table. Got the problem? I would like to use this input because I can apply filtering only in the data foundation, but in the data foundation, I don't see this column at all. I don't see this column region because the table is not used. Actually, the table partner table was used in inside this attribute view. Which one? This attribute view. So if I go to the data foundation of this attribute view, there I'll find that column called regions. Right? So then I'll have to go, if I don't have the solution for this, I'll end up going with the variable. But if I use variable, then what is my problem? It executes the logic for all the regions, then project only one region as an output. So which is affecting my performance of the view. Right? Okay, now look at this. How do I solve this? I have this input parameter created as IP region, right? Activate. So I'll go here. Even though my attribute views does not support input parameters, I'll go into this data foundation, select this region, right click, apply filter, fix the use a placeholder. I'll say $$ IP underscore region $$. Okay. Activate this out. Since the input parameter name here and the input parameter what used as a placeholder in your attribute is same, what it does is it takes this value here and passes in the parameter and passes this value to the attribute view, and then the value is filtered there. Here, say okay, contents. It takes me EMEA, right, and then go in and see whether the data is filtered for that region or not. One second, it is not reflecting the change. I think. Let me create new one. Because I change this attribute view again later, right? Is it correct? EMEA correct, right? Or APJLT? I should see only that. Still showing me. 1 second now. ఇక్కడ నీకు లేదు క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ వీలో ఉంటుంది బట్ IP underscore REGION. That will be only for calculation. REGION. showing that values, but here it is showing data only for, let me apply filter.
Maybe analytical view also should be
Bus.
activated
It's
again.
okay. Here it is actually showing all the possible values. See, it is working out. The input parameter name here is year, and what I use is attribute is same. It is working, but only thing it's not showing. Let me say APJ. Okay. So what are the value I pass into this parameter? This will be passed on to the same parameter name what is used in the attribute view in my analytical view in the star join. Okay. See, if I go to the raw data, you are seeing data only for what? What is this? What is here? APJ only bus. Okay. Even if I apply filter to anything else, let's say for region, now I'm seeing the data. If I say EMEA, it will execute. See, it is not showing anything in the EM. What does it mean? It is apply passing that filter. Now let me just get in. If I say EMEA, I will get to see data only for EMEA. Just see the raw data. See, you see data only for EMEA. Are you seeing anything like if I apply filter saying region as APJ, it's showing only region? Yes. And did you get this, boss? Since I could not apply the filter in the data foundation of my analytical view, in the attribute view itself, I have applied a placeholder with the same parameter name what is used in my analytical view. So whatever the value I take in here, it is been passed on to the attribute view, then the table is filtered on the parameter value, then the results has been affected. So did you understand this point? Hello, boss. Any doubt? Attribute view does not support any concept of input parameter, but I can still use something called mapping of input parameter as a placeholder. So what I'll do in attribute view, I use input parameter, and when I use this attribute view into my star join, in analytical view, create input parameter with the same name what is used as a placeholder in attribute view. So what are the value I give into this parameter that will be passed on to that attribute view, passes the value, and then the value is filtered in attribute view, then the results are affected in my analytical view. Any doubts?
So you said attribute view doesn't support input parameters, right? So if you give a filter and give a placeholder and run that, will it not ask for input?
That's why I've created with the same naming. Suppose if I change this name here as a region 1, sorry. Oh, this will not work now. So did I activate after changing? Now the parameter name what is used as a placeholder in attribute view and in analytical view they're different. Now it will not be passing it. See, it does not even pop up my parameter at all. See, is it asking me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is it
Okay.
asking?
It doesn't pop up.
It's just showing all the results: APJ, EMEA, everything. You got this?
Got you. Got you.
Yeah. See, it is automatically being passing that parameter value to attribute because the parameter name is same. Yeah. Okay. Next option. Next case, this is passing an input parameter to an attribute view which is used as the source object, nothing but used as the dimension in star join. How do you handle that? Okay. Now next case I'll take it. Remember this attribute view. You remember this attribute view which has got input parameter as placeholder, right? What is this name? IP underscore region. Okay. Good. Let me take this. Let me remove this old attribute view. I'll just take the normal one, which is got without any filtering. This is a normal attribute view, analytical view, which has got no placeholders, nothing. Okay. Which is I cannot use this. Sorry. I'll not even use that. I'll use this normal. See, this does not use star. This does not use attribute views at all. Yeah. This is a normal view without attribute views. The attribute views are not used in the star join at all. Okay. Good. Look at my requirement. In BO, do we have something like cascading prompts? Like in BW, you can achieve that with compounding attributes. Say I have a requirement like this. Look at this. I have two input parameters. Concentrate. Again, point to be confused. IP underscore region is one. I'll just say direct. This I'll enter directly. That's okay. Say okay. I want one more input for IP underscore country. For now, I'll put direct, then I'll change this later. No, for okay, and I'll go and apply filter on this. Apply filter on region for the region parameter. And apply filter on the country with country parameter. It is straightforward. So for region EMEA, region is EMEA and country as IN. Okay. Can there be a combination with EMEA and IN bus?
No.
No, right?
No.
Yeah. So I have a requirement like this. As soon as my user enters a region EMEA, for this country, look at this. What is this? When I click this, it is going to fire out what? When I click this, it has to fire out a value help, right? Associated with list of values.
Associated.
Yeah.
Country.
Exactly. Associated list of values, which should be from the view. But okay, so what I'll do now, I'll go to this parameter. So I want a value help view. So I'll just say column. I'll use this value help Z80 BP001 something. Okay. Or I'll use that new one. Okay. Z80 BP001. And from this, it has to read the country column values. EMEA, okay. I go to country. When I say F4 or shows me possible values, it is going to fire out a view and read the values of country in it. So it's showing me all what it is doing. It is saying select distinct country from that view. It is just showing me all the countries. Is this what you wanted?
No.
No, right?
No.
We want to show countries only of the corresponding region what is been entered, right? So what I do is, what is my value help view? I can see it here. What is my value help view? Z80 BP001, right? I'll open this view. And for region, have some placeholder. Say $$ IP something S region, S in the source region, something I can give different name, no problem. Activate this. Just to reflect, I'm just activating this, close and open it again. IP1. Now if you remove, now look at the requirement. I was using this value help Z80 BP001. This value help attribute view also has an input parameter placeholder which is IP underscore S region. To get this effect, what I'll do, I'll take this region value and should pass on to that region and then filter it out. So for that, I'll say drop down. So there's something like, this is called as mapping of input parameters. Drop down for value help. Okay, click this. Look at this. For IP country, I'm using a value help view as Z80BP00, which has got input parameter called IPS region. These are my parameters in my view. So I would like to pass on the value of this input parameter to this parameter here. So then what happens, when as soon as I give a value to this region will pass on the value to this input parameter placeholder in attribute view, filter the possible values for countries here. Okay. So I give it as EMEA. So now EMEA will be passed on to this value help and filters only for Europe regions. Suppose if I enter this as APJ, Asia Pacific, I will get this APJ is passed on and I get to see only Asia Pacific countries. And if I enter the not AMER and if I go to possible values, it passes the country and then shows me only US. Did you understand this mapping of input parameters with value help here? Yeah. So this is the two ways you can look at mapping of input. One is when I use attribute view as a source in the star join, I can use this, I can define same parameter name with the same name and use a placeholder in the attribute view, so automatically the value is passed on. When I want to pass on the parameter value for the value help which is used as a attribute view which is used as value help, then I'll have to go with mapping of input parameters with value helps. Okay, and we simulate the cascading prompt effect. So this is input parameter bus.
Sir, can you go to that mapping screen once again?
Second option little bit confusion, yes. So I'm deleting it again. I'm deleting it again. I'm just creating 1 second, just focus now. I'm creating first two input parameters here. IP, and this as source, okay. Region, S region, some data type, I'll put as 4. I want one more input parameter for country. Yes, country. Yes, as sender, okay. And let me use them for filter. Country, apply filter. Region. Bus, mute yourself, someone has voice. Active. This is working fine, no issues here. I give it as EMEA, then I give it as D, it works fine, no issues. But what I want in the possible values, I would like to see only countries of a particular region. That is what cascading is. So what I'll do, I would like to control this value help values from the list of values from the value help view. So what I'll do, I'll create one view which can be used as a value help here. Copy of AT. Okay. I'll take this attribute view. This is a normal attribute view. So what I want is I want this value help view, attribute view, to be able to take input of the region. So I'll say apply filter. Even though there is no input parameter concept, I use a placeholder, $, something IP underscore receiver. I'll say R region. There it is sender, here it is receiver. I'll say activate. Just to make sure the reflections are done, activate this and open that again. I'll go to this input parameter. For country, I want to control the list of values, so I'll set this as column so that I can control the values from the value help. Copy of I use this copy view, and from this I want to read the country columns. So what does this mean? The possible values will be what? Select distinct country values from this view. But what I want, since this view already has a placeholder of region parameter, I'll pass on. I want to say select country from this view where my region is equal to IP receiver with the value of this IP sender. So for that I'll say drop mapping of input parameters. So I have this parameter IPS. These are the two input parameters in my analytical view. And for one of the parameter IP underscore S country, I have a value help view which has got input parameter as a receiver. So I got to take this value to be passed on. So take this region value to this input parameter and execute this view and give me the possible country values. So when I give EMEA, the value of this EMEA for S region is passed on to that attribute view as IAP underscore R region. Then that view is filtered out and then shows me only Europe regions, Europe countries only. And when I enter this as APJ, and when I click on this, it actually passes this APJ values to that attribute view and then mapping it, and then shows me only APJ countries. See, this is this icon for mapping. Just click on this mapping of input parameters, and this is where you do the map. So on the right hand side, you will see the available parameters, and you want to pass on to which parameter, you get to see the left hand parameters. Okay. It's about 8:20. Yeah. So 5 minutes. If you want to have any doubt, you can ask me now. Yeah. Okay. Fine, boss. Okay. Then we'll meet tomorrow then. Yeah.